Hey everyone, welcome back. So I want to ask a question. Are you a burned out business owner? Because there's a lot of us out there and I want to help you to do less and earn more. And I'm going to show you 3 ways to do just that. So running a business is tough. There's so much that we have to do. We have to get new clients and we have to service those clients. We need to figure out actually what we're selling too, right? We need to go and build a team. We need to make sure we have the cash flow. There's all of these elements that go into business that I think sometimes we don't really realize when we first start out and create our company. But we can really do more while doing less. So there's a lot of great ambitious business owners out there, but it's no wonder that 90% of startups fail. And I really want to change that number and be able to show people how you can not lose that spark, lose the drive that really got you to start your business in the first place. So a lot of times if you're in that growth phase of business, you're still doing a lot of the work and you haven't figured out how to get yourself out. So I want to show how you can continue to scale and how you can start to remove yourself. And it's probably around a concept I haven't really equated to this before, so I'm really excited to share with that today. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, welcome to the video. So I asked the question earlier, I'm gonna say it again. Can you actually do more in your business by doing less? I really believe you can, and I'm determined to continue to show ways that we can really get our time back, our energy back, and actually have that hyper growth as well. And I want to talk about this concept of momentum and how momentum is actually the secret ingredient to getting your business to, again, do more with less of your time. Okay, so I'm not a science expert, but I'm going to do my best to explain what momentum is. So momentum is really mass times velocity. So when you think about large companies, now let's kind of equate this to business and how it relates. So if you think about large companies, they have lots of mass, right? They're able to do things that as smaller companies, we just can't do. They have the economies of scale, right? But what don't they have? They don't have the agility and the speed. And that's something as small businesses, we actually have agility and speed. So what I've thought about is like, okay, big businesses have this advantage, small businesses have this advantage. How do we take the 2 advantages and make them, no matter the size of your company, so whether you're a foundation, growth, or momentum company, how do we take those 2 advantages that both of those companies have and put them together? And that's what I'm gonna show you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so of the 3 concepts around momentum I want to talk about, the first one is around focusing on your 20%. I'm going to show you how you can have mass and velocity when you're able to hyper-focus on your 20%. Yeah, that's great. I would love to hyper-focus on my 20%, but there's still this 80% that's still over there. Don't worry, at the end, I'll show you how we can take care of the 80% through a Teamsourcing system that I built. But let's talk about if you are able to focus on your 20%, what can actually happen in your company and what kind of momentum you can actually build. So in the book, Good to Great, they have a concept called the flywheel concept. And it's a really interesting kind of concept. If you have this big flywheel, when you're initially trying to turn it, it's really hard to move it, right? But over time, it just starts going and going and going. And then eventually it just keeps going without a lot of effort. And that's really what I want to get your businesses to do as well. And when you're able to hyper focus on your 20%, that is in a sense what you're doing. You're putting all of this energy and effort into your core and you're able to just get that flywheel moving. And that's when you can create massive momentum. So on this flywheel concept, which one do you think that is? Mass or velocity? You're right, it's velocity, right? It's speed. You're getting it moving and you're able to go faster and faster and faster because you're hyper-focused on the 20%. So now how do we get mass with the 20%? Well, this has to do with that 80-20 principle that I've talked about. Where, okay, if we're able to get somebody else to focus on the 80%, so the things that are the same in every business, that allows you to create massive, really just mass. Let's just say mass. So let me explain how this works. So Teamsourcing actually has 7 different departments and you're able to pay for fractional people in each of those different departments. And so what happens is it kind of sets your business up for growth because now you're able to have what the enterprise level companies have. We've brought that back down to your level to work with you. And you can now pay for all of those different services and the skills that you need just right when you need them. And then so if you only need it for a short time, guess what? You don't have to fire an employee. It makes it super sweet because you can just go, hey, I need this service and then I need it for this amount of time. And then you can get out. And so you don't have to go and find the people, recruit the people, literally an instant team in front of you. And it makes it super great because now you have the mass over here, the 80%, you have the speed, which is hyper-focus on your 20%. And that is what really creates massive momentum in your company when you're able to hyper-focus on that 20%. Obviously, the title of this video is around, you're probably a burned out business owner, so you came to watch. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more of ability to relax. You realize, okay, there is a pathway forward. It probably feels too far out yet because you're like, yeah, that's great in concept, but how does that really work, right? And I understand that team sourcing is still a concept and you haven't really dug deep into how that can really get your business to work without you. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the second point, which is going to continue to build upon this. Okay, so now that you're hyper-focused, the next thing is you need who's. Most companies have a who problem, not a how problem. A lot of times we focus on the how and we don't figure out how to find the right who's that can support us. Like I said, if you followed any of my other videos, I talk about people, process, technology in that order. You got to start with your who's before you can create your process. And a lot of times the who's usually are you if you're not focused on creating a team around you. And so now let's talk about how you can have mass and velocity related to your who's. So again, with this team sourcing concept, I'm going to keep tying it back to this. I'm not going to be able to go super deep into all the team sourcing elements in this video, but I'll continue to create more videos and show you other ways you can kind of deep dive with me into this team sourcing system. But just think differently through this video. I want you to think differently. So many people are like, but it's not like every other concept out there. It's not a virtual assistant model, or it's not about just hiring an in-house team. So I know I'm challenging your brain to think differently. So bear with me as I go through these points. Challenge the status quo of what's out there, because what's been out there mainstream isn't working. I need you to think differently so you can see how you can really work less in your business. Okay, so let's go into the who. So with the team sourcing concept, you literally have specialized skills in different teams. And so again, that allows you to create a bunch of who's, so it gives you the mass and it creates different skill sets. If you hire one person to do a lot of different skills, you don't have that mass. You don't have that ability to put I talk a lot about creating a scalable company, right? In order to scale, you need people ready to go. You need them prepared so that you're not like, oh, we got to stop our growth and then go fix this and then we're going to start again. And that's what happens. There's actually a rule around this where every time you triple your revenue, or every time you triple your employees, like a lot of times you actually break all of your systems. And so what I'm determined to do is not have you break all your systems every time you triple in growth. And so really, if you have all these people ready to go, your who's in a massive scale, that is going to create a scalable company where it doesn't fall back on you. And that is what it hopefully blows your mind to think differently. That is the goal here is in this video. I'm not going into a lot of tactical things here. I'm just going a lot of concepts to just get you to think differently and kind of blow your mind of what's possible. Okay, so the different teams with different skills, that gives you the scalable capacity. So now how do we get the speed? And the way you get speed is when you have somebody that's skilled in a thing that does it really well, right? You're not having to hire, cross-train, they leave, and then you gotta rehire them again. You see how the momentum is slowly dying here in your business. Like, I'm so passionate about getting skilled people doing the work because it's gonna make the people happier because they're doing their sweet thing. It's gonna make you happier because they're able to do it well, and you're able to empower people to make decisions. And that is when you can move fast. And you think about large corporations, as we start to grow our company, every time I see this growth halt where it's like, oh, we're not moving fast, I always try to say, what can we do differently? Or I try to put some fire behind it to break something. I purposely do this. I'm sure it drives my team crazy, but I love to put some fire behind something to see what breaks, because we need to have speed. We need to be agile. That is the type of companies we need to build, or else you are going to be left in the dust anymore. No longer can you do it the old way where we learned from the school of hard knocks. When I say old way, I'm saying the way that I learned, which is so not the right way to do it. So don't learn from the school of hard knocks. On this note, before we go into this third point, if you like videos like this, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and again, share it with other entrepreneurs out there so we can change the way we do business. I am really redefining how businesses operate, and I am challenging the status quo that is out there. And that is my goal, but I can't do it alone. I need you in the comments talking about what's worked for you, what's not working for you. I need feedback from you so I can continue to make this team sourcing system better, because I'm looking for your knowledge and your expertise and what's not working so I can go and solve those problems for you. Okay, point number 3 is around the concept of the power of simplicity. That is probably one of my favorite words, only because I am the first one to overcomplicate things. So luckily I have a team around me that keeps things simple for me. They're like, Mia, that's great, but that's really complicated. And the reason why I complicate things is because I see all the details. I have ability to be able to see big picture and then see all the details. But to be able to make things simple, you first have to make things complicated first, right? Or gain more knowledge. Like sometimes you gotta go broad to be able to go more narrow. So back to the mass and velocity. So when you think about simplicity, probably the Achilles heel of entrepreneurs, including myself, is we see shiny objects. We have so many ideas that we don't know how to implement them all. right? If you're able to hyper-focus on one idea, get it successful, get it going, get it automated, and then go back and be disciplined enough to do that, that is going to get you the speed you need to move. And then you can go and get your next idea. But again, if you want, the power of simplicity is hyper-focus on one idea first before it's successful. Now let's talk about how you get the mass when it comes to simplicity. Okay, so in simplicity, the way you get the mass is by having all of your resources focused on one thing. So I know my marketing team really hates it when I start to say, hey, I had this middle of the night thought and it was super great, and here's a new funnel we need to build, or here's this thing. Like, sometimes they're really great ideas and we do implement them. But there's sometimes we're like, if we really just focus more, we would be farther along. And so we sometimes can be the worst enemy to our team and to our company. And so when we're able to put all of our resources on one thing, so for instance, just take a marketing team as an example, right? If you're a funnel builder and you love to go create marketing and new ideas, your team is all over the place and you're not able to fully focus on that. But really, if you're able to stay focused with your resources and the idea and your product, that is how you create simplicity in your business and create massive momentum. Okay, so now I'm gonna wrap it all back around to kind of an interesting concept. And again, it involves a science concept and principle around Newton's law, and I'm gonna do my best to describe it because it is not my strength at all. But really, when you think about momentum, that is the fuel, that is the fire, like that is what's going to create the energy within your organization. The more energy you can produce in the right direction, channeled in the right direction, that is going to make the biggest difference in your business. And so Newton's third law actually talks about energy conservation, momentum conservation. And if I'm completely butchering this, you can actually in the comments, like tell me when I'm saying wrong, but so you can teach me too here. That law actually says you can actually do an energy shift. If you think about like when you bounce a ball, like you know how it shifts the energy? I think I probably should have looked this up before I started this video, but I'm thinking this is the third law. So the ball hits and it actually transfers the energy, right? And that ball is standing still. In other videos, I've talked about how you gotta be willing to pivot, right? You come up with a wildly important goal, but you gotta be willing to pivot potentially to another pathway if you're finding that you're on the wrong path. And that is okay. And that doesn't kill momentum, it actually continues momentum. Because if you go in the wrong direction, eventually that energy will burn because you realize you weren't on the wrong pathway. Don't feel bad shifting and don't feel bad adjusting. Just make sure everybody shifts with you and that your product shifts too. Like everything needs to shift in alignment. But because of this law, it kind of applies to business too. That's so cool to think about in your business. So you don't have to feel bad when you do pivot. So that's it. That's what I have for you on if you were a burned out business owner and how you can do less and earn more. And the way you earn more is through momentum. Obviously, there's a lot of tactics and things you need to make sure you have the cash flow and different stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all about that energy and that momentum that you're fueling your company with. Okay, so in this video, I obviously teased a lot about the team sourcing system. If you want to learn more about this team sourcing system, you can actually go to discoverteamsourcing.com and you can kind of see what it is behind the scenes that happens or that can happen with your business with team sourcing. And again, we would be really excited to work with you. It's free to apply. And then you can actually, after you apply, get on a free strategy call with us. And it's a great way to see how team sourcing can work for your business. Again, it's free and you can go to discoverteamsourcing.com and I will see you there.